I was just mentioned, oh, let me quickly put that in. I want to say thank you so much for inviting me again to come and present. I'm always excited to come out to organizations because one of my goals is to connect communities, right? And one of our missions as well with our Office of 55 Plus Programs, who I work with. I have been there probably over 15 years. So as you can imagine, I've become really familiar with senior services, different organizations. But the one thing that in my 15 years I've learned about life is that everything's always changing, and or it changes and then becomes a new name. So some of these items might be repeats, some will be new, some were actually new to me as I was gathering information as well for the presentation, which is why I love coming out, because I get new information as well. I think I know some individuals on this from the list. I believe that I might even have some colleagues on this call. So if I miss anything, I'm sure they can help support me or back me up. But again, I'm here today representing Office of 55 Plus Programs, that is with Department of Parks and Recreation in Arlington County. So with that said, I'm going to, let's see, start sharing. Okay, hold on one second. Gary, it's so interesting that button that was there before is not there now. Let's see. And
Bottom of your screen.
yeah, at the bottom of my screen.
Are you seeing the other icons?
Yeah, actually, okay, let me close the chat for a second and see if that allows, there it is. I think the chat was blocking the extra screens there. Okay, here we go. I'm glad I shared the presentation ahead. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second while I move this banner at the top so I can go ahead and play the presentation. Okay, and now everybody's just seeing the one slide at a time?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So again, Office of 55 Plus Programs, it sounds like many of the members are very familiar and hopefully benefiting from our program, especially since Arlington Neighborhood Village has a partnership with our office and provides the 55 Plus Pass. So we are 55 Plus Programs. We have activities at 5 different senior centers. Our programs range just like our community is very diverse. So we have to provide very diverse programs with different abilities and different aspects to it, but programs in fitness, sports, education, mental workout, arts, of course, recreation, social, which is a very big, important component of anything we do, be it a card game, we still love to add the social component to that, wellness, volunteerism. I can't stress enough how important volunteerism is in our team, because without volunteers, we would not be able to do some of the programs. Some of our programs are actually led by expert volunteers. So we're very thankful for them. And then of course that involves for civic engagement and then connection to county services. Like I mentioned, I have been with the county over 15 years, originally not from here. I think I heard somebody saying they're taking a cruise through South America. So I'm on the tip. I was originally born in Colombia in South America, and then eventually moved to the United States, and eventually here to Arlington, where I've become so familiar with so many different cultures, love the area, live in Arlington. But one of the reasons I decided to join Office of 55 Plus Programs is because I love the senior population. I loved it growing up with my family, very tight family, and the importance of making sure that at any age, individuals are connected. You're going to hear me say that a lot, the connection, the socialization. It's at any age that we need that. And nothing has proven more than when we were with the start of the pandemic. So I'm going to kind of guide us through how our office has changed and anything new that's come up. And my focus today will be Social 60 Plus Cafe, as well as the travel, but I just wanted to give you a little snapshot of our program just in case anybody is new to it. 55 Plus program has more of a holistic approach. Again, we're trying to enrich the lives of our older Arlingtonians. We have wonderful directors at our 5 centers who are constantly not only programming, but listening, getting feedback, seeing how they can actually, from an idea, create a program, looking for new partners, new ways of looking at a program. So we work very much hand in hand with the 55 plus community and all our advisory committees. Our mission statement is to enhance the physical and mental well-being of Arlington's diverse over 55 plus population through programs and activities fostering wellness and a sense of purpose and community. These are the 5 different locations for those who are very familiar with our programs. They've changed throughout the years. Lubber Run is one of our newer centers. So that just opened up last year, the summer of last year. And then, of course, we have some of our steady ones that are very popular, like Arlington Mill, Walter Reed, but they're throughout all the county, throughout the county, north, central, and south. So it's very convenient locations. Most of them are near public transportation. We do have a lot of individuals who come, walk to our centers, public transportation, carpool, bike. We have a lot of bikers. And yeah, and they're all located within community centers. So this is just, again, a little snapshot I just put up there for you guys to read of some of the type of programs. We do a lot of education and classes. We have our 55 plus guide, with most of you are familiar. The new thing with the guide is that we now do it quarterly instead of bi-monthly. So that takes a lot of planning with our staff to try to secure. For example, we have a deadline coming up for our winter guide. So that would be the month of December, January, February. So it is very difficult to maybe call a potential presenter or partner and say, hey, what are you doing in January 15th? Would you be available to do a presentation? So we really do work way ahead to try to make everything happen. We have different type of categories of programs we want, like from art, music appreciation, health and nutrition, which is very popular. Some programs we keep consistent every quarter because maybe they filled up, or maybe somebody, the date didn't work. And so we want to be able to offer it maybe at a different location, the next guide. And then we have some like one-time presentations that may come back later on, but they were just a one-time for now. All of our programs, we do speak ahead with the presenters and make sure there's no soliciting of any form. You know, everybody's an adult, so you can ask the presenter maybe for their personal contact. But again, our presentations are about general information and really work with the no soliciting. We also have a lot of special events that we have throughout. Some are more countywide, like I'll mention the New Year's Eve event that we'll have this December. I think we're still kind of working out the details. But also like mental workouts. We have a whole section on it because it's so important. Anything from the games or any groups we've partnered with, a lot of discussion groups, special theme groups, and of course the planning ahead. We work with local agencies or jurisdictions, anything from Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, to be able to provide information, easy to understand information at our presentations. And then our populars are always fitness, sports. As you may have, you may be part of pickleball already or have heard, pickleball now in Arlington County is beyond popular because now I see all ages playing pickleball. So I know recently the county's been having a lot of discussions about outdoor pickleball courts and how to use them, where they should be, what would be the lining, the special lining for that. So if you are interested in pickleball and want to know more, just please let me know. We have walking groups, we have golf, the bike rides. What I always find interesting with the bike rides is people don't realize that they bike like 10 to 25 miles. It really is a tight biking group that they see different locations. They go maybe into DC, sightsee, ride, maybe have lunch together. So we have a lot of all the other sports as well: volleyball, basketball, bocce, and croquet. This is just, again, a little snapshot before I kind of get into the nitty gritty of the main focus. These have been either, oh yes.
Is the 55 plus guide available online as well as in a printed format?
Yes, so that would be something new besides it being quarterly, is that we no longer do the mail out. So we stopped doing the mail out, yes, in probably around March 2020. And so what we offer now is you can go to your local center and a director or a front desk staff can print a copy out. We have some copies available. We can mail it to you from our main office. You can just go ahead and email us and ask for it. And it's always available online in two different versions, which is this flip book. But I find the PDF a little easier to read on your phone or laptop or computer. But no longer being mailed to your home, that colorful brochure. It's all black and white now. Um, all these programs you would find in the guide. Currently, we have our September, October, November guide. Some of these have been past programs we've had, some are upcoming. And so I just wanted to show the variation is really what was my goal with that. And then one important component before we move on is transportation. A lot of individuals ask us like, well, I would love to go to your evening program or your evening acoustic cafe, but I don't like to drive at night, or I don't like to drive others with me at night, or, don't feel comfortable. Well, we have SCAT, which is a senior center adult transportation. We call it SCAT. It's a very simple process. I actually feel the hardest process is getting the brochure to apply. But that is something I'm going to provide so then you guys can have copies of it. It's for any resident in Arlington 55 and older. They have to be registered with our program. So they actually have to have a 55 plus pass or gold pass. And then they're able to arrange taxis that go to their home and then bring them to the actual 55 plus program location. And it's $2.50 each way. And then of course they can coordinate their ride back home. You can book in advance. You can book a reoccurring trip. Like every Thursday, I know I go to Bridge at 11, so you can book that up ahead, or just coordinate if you need accessibility, then they'll make sure you have the right vehicle for that. And I'll be able to provide that brochure. We're also going to make that available online soon. So let me know if you have any questions about that as well. But again, it's called SCAT. And then the county itself has another transportation brochure that I can also provide. It's not that it's outdated, just probably needs to be updated. I think the last time it was updated was 2019. So it has different options, like maybe after a hospital stay or a temporary illness, the different transportation services that are available with Arlington County. In this case, it's in Arlington. You have to be Arlington and you have to have the 55 plus pass, but the process is very easy. Okay, so now getting to the Social 60 Plus Cafe. I want to say thank you so much for even thinking about this program and wanting more information, because one of the reasons that I come out and do presentations is because maybe it's not something you may use, but it may be for a neighbor or a friend, or somebody's asking at maybe an organization you volunteer with. And it's such a wonderful program. I probably the start of my career started at a senior center that is Social 60 Plus Cafe. And it's such a tight bonded network of seniors that see each other on a regular basis. There's a socializing component to it. But really what we call Social 60 Plus Cafe was, it's a federally funded program that's actually called Congregate Meals. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the concept of congregate meals, but a few years back, we decided to change the name to be a little bit more reflective of that social component I was describing. And also because you have, even though our program is 55 and older, for this federally funded congregate meal program, you have to be 60 and older. In our case, you have to live in Arlington. And this is because every jurisdiction has their own congregate meal program as well, because of the way the funding works. So if you have a neighbor who's right over the border of Arlington and Fairfax, they can still come to our programs, but if they want to do a congregate meal or what we call Social 60 Plus Cafe, they would have to do it probably through Fairfax, who also has the same system, the same process of how you would register, well, pretty much similar. These are the 3 different locations. Again, they are located inside our senior centers. It's really more of a service of a hot lunch and transportation. And that's the kind of the entry point that a lot of individuals come in because they need that hot meal. Maybe they no longer feel they're able to cook or feel safe cooking, or they don't want to cook for one, or they're more home but want to socialize. So this would be a reason they come in. But once they're in our program, we're actually doing an assessment as well, a nutritional assessment, trying to see if there's any other potential services we need to connect individuals with. When I worked with the Social 60 Plus Cafe, I remember so many times that when we would do the intake, people would say, oh, I really need a dentist, or I'm having a lot of dental pain and that's why I'm not eating. So we'd be able to connect them maybe to the county's Department of Human Service, Sequoia building, where they have services for dental and it'd be affordable, or connect them to maybe a presenter who came in and talked about dental hygiene. So the intake is really important for us. And especially now that we have a few limitations here due to COVID protocols, it helps us understand the individual. Everything's confidential, everything's secured and private. So once you've talked with us and we've kind of arranged your transportation, your meals, we want to keep everything private. So people really should not know. Yes.
The question is there any income requirement for the meals program?
So there is not an income requirement. We do ask income related questions, maybe nothing like proof per se, but it is not an income-based program. It's an age-based program. And of course, that you have to live in the jurisdiction the program is held in. But when we do the financial information, there is a scale that we kind of use for people to then decide what donation do they want to make for the meal, right? Because it's a confidential donation. So it helps them gauge, okay, maybe I can donate $1 or nothing or $2. So there's a suggested sliding scale of that. But it's more about the age. That's really the key. And that's sometimes the hard part, is because we have a lot of individuals. I just went to a meeting where they were just talking about people who need food donations, but they're 53, they're 57. So we're like, oh, that's a shame, because they could probably join the Social 60 Plus Cafe. Now there's other resources in the county that they can connect with. But it is age-based. If you are a spouse of somebody who's 60 and older and qualifies for the Social 60 Plus Cafe, and you're within our age requirement, then you can also join. Or if you're you have a disability and you're within like a child of the parents, or then you could also join. So it's an easy process. You kind of assess like, oh, this is the center I might want to go to, and then you either can visit the site, call the site, I would suggest, so you can schedule a time to register, just because it gets a little busy. We want to make sure we're dedicating the appropriate time to you and focused on what your request is. We also have more information online on our Parks and Rec page. If you search for Social 60 Plus Cafe, we have a whole web page for that. And of course, I'll share with the group later on, for anybody who might want it, the brochure. We might have to update it since a lot of the changes, but really, again, even if you do not have the funds or the capability, we do have confidential donation options. The transportation, I did want to mention that is also a new change. We work right now through Red Top Cab as a vendor, but they have a shortage in drivers. They have a shortage in the vehicles in their fleet. So we've had to do a lot of coordinating. And also with COVID, you want to make sure everybody's safe that's there. But the transportation is there. It comes and picks you up at your house, brings you back. You get to do activities around noon or so, depending on the site. You are able to eat that hot lunch and then maybe wrap up or do some final activity and then head home. There's flexibility in signing up, in the sense that, like, you don't have to feel committed, like I have to come every Monday, or maybe this Monday you have a doctor's appointment, but I'll come instead Tuesday. So there's a lot of flexibility that you can work with the staff member on both lunches and transportation, although you do have to arrange those ahead.
Just,
So
we did have
Mhm.
a question about, or a comment about the SCAT service,
Oh yes,
talking about transportation. This person said they've had some issues with drivers being late for the appointment, and
yes.
wondered if it was due to short staffing, or, if this is a recurring problem that you guys are aware of.
So I don't work with the Social 60 Plus Cafe. I feel like I have a colleague on here who does, but from what I do know from other supervisors is that they are aware. They are working with the vendor constantly on that. I do remember from my times working with directly with the cafe is that we're in constant communication with the dispatcher, with the vendor, and it's more like, where's cab 47? And they'll be like giving us an estimated time, and we're trying to get in touch with the individual, but the individual's probably outside waiting for that cab. So it is something that we are aware of, and we do have contracts with the vendor. So that is all very important, because I don't know how often, like if it's every 2 years they renew the contract, or how often, but all those factors are calculated in deciding like who we proceed with. So I would say definitely work with your staff member on site and make sure that they're aware. Even if you want to make it formal, like send a formal email, I can provide that email, which is the general one, either to the direct staff you can, or 55 plus 55 PLUS at arlingtonva.us. And then we can forward it on. But it is very important that if there is a complaint or a concern, to please express that. So we kind of have our stuff lined up, if that makes sense. And Gary just figured out how to be able to have the screen and the mini chat on here. So now I can kind of take a look at all this stuff. Let's see, rides to pull, hotline. Okay. Both printed, flip book. Yes. Okay. Oh, so but you guys are referring to the SCAT drivers, correct? I apologize. I misunderstood.
That was the
Yes. So if there is, that is something I can share up, because with SCAT drivers, we don't have that same system I just described. So that is something I could definitely share with Star, who oversees the SCAT program with us. So thank you so much. I will put that on my follow-ups. And then regarding the pass for Jill, I could definitely take a look. I think I know you, Jill, maybe from computer classes, but I could definitely take a look at that. If you ever have any questions about memberships, please send it to 55 plus, which is 55 PLUS at arlingtonva.us. I actually oversee that account as well, because right away we look into your account and see if a credit's owed. But if you are a Arlington Neighborhood Village member, then yes, your $20 are calculated into that. So I will take a look at that as well. So just again, wanted to kind of do a little snapshot. These pictures, these are pre-COVID pictures. So of course, we've had some changes with the bus and what we're able to do, and the ways we do meals, which let me see if I can move on to the next screen. Just a little bit about the program. So in addition to meals and transportation, which I just mentioned, the staff is very much always working on programming, and programming that's really tailored to the participants in the Social 60 Plus Cafe, especially since we've done an intake. We get to know you, we're talking daily. We kind of really get to know the community that comes. We also have staff who are bilingual because the community is very diverse. Some attendees, English is not their first language, or they can't speak or understand English. They may be a different language, and some we don't have like a bilingual staff for, but we use an interpreting line. I think currently we're using language line. But again, we're just constantly working on scheduling programs, and our focus is recreation, of course, because we're parks and recreation, but also exposing to art, wellness, socialization. That could be through parties, that could be through games, that through classes. And all this is at a minimal cost or nothing to the actual Social 60 Plus Cafe participant. So we definitely work with our budget with that. And then there's a very popular weekly seated exercise classes offered at all sites. So if you do want more information about that, let us know. It's not something we necessarily maybe promote in the guide because we really want our Social 60 Plus Cafe to be able to take advantage of the seated exercise classes kind of designed for them. But anybody's welcome to join. So if you do have questions, I can definitely provide that. And then I just want to mention the importance of partnerships, both internal and external. We have wonderful organizations in Arlington County, amazing. So we work with both. And for example, we have Virginia Cooperative Extension. They provide a lot of our nutrition education, cooking demos. They work with Energy Masters, anything that they, or financial programs or anything they provide, we do try to bring into the center because they're looking for host sites as well. We work very closely with Department of Human Service, not only for our funding for the program, but also sometimes even for our protocol. Making sure we're following by the state regulations because we are then also audited annually. So we want to make sure we're following all the rules. But then it's also about making those connections of services in the county. Housing, very important right now. Housing, I really just went to a presentation saying how many seniors are now without housing. They're looking for shelters, or some of the housing is already full, so they're on long wait lists. So that's a very big topic right now. Anything from the food donation, we have a weekly food donation at one of our sites, and we work with AFAC on that. Anything from vouchers, farmer market, Social Security, connecting. I know that when I was trying to do some Social Security items for my parents, it was very difficult to kind of really get through and understand the process. And then mental health services. Sometimes we have individuals who are living still with their family, or their older kids have now returned back home with the family. And so the dynamics of the household has changed. We like to work with nature centers, get outside, things that they may normally not either think of or connect to or join. So thinking outside the box. We also have Arlington REAP, which some of you may be familiar at different locations. We do have them on Arlington Mill, and they provide ESL classes, English as a second language class. And although it's not our program, again, we're partnering with them because they're already there, they're already providing the services. But sometimes maybe we can tailor a specific program for senior friendly, right? Although it's all ages. And then of course we have the Alliance, who's always offering like scholarships, opportunities, services, computer classes, free internet. So the opportunities are endless when it comes to the Social 60 Plus Cafe. So again, that's why I really want to mention it's important, the spreading the good news to others, even if it's not a service you may need, maybe it is. I'd be happy to help anybody who needs to connect with them. We also work with contracts with outside vendors, again, to either no cost to the participant or very minimal, if that, but we provide entertainment groups that come and join, baking classes, Jane Franklin dance, interpretive dance classes. I never knew what that was until probably my first year coming in and meeting Jane Franklin, but it's a way of expression. Like I remember them doing this mirroring exercise where you had like a partner in front of you and everything the other person does, you do, and it allows you to be free. So we again try to be very creative. And then of course we provide services like blood pressure screening quarterly, nutrition education classes quarterly, and they're all done through registered dietitians, experts in the field. Everything's kind of vetted as well. I want to make sure no soliciting, like I mentioned before. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that we do joint special events pretty much a few times in the year. It's a time when the three cafes kind of come together and do some large event, be it social or be it like a outing. So for example, the cafes just had the end of summer picnic at the park in Bluemont Park. So the taxis picked them up, of course, dropped them back home. There was boxed lunches available. We had games set up, volleyball. It's under a picnic shelter, those that want to walk around. And so it allows that freedom of being able just to say, yes, I want to join, and being able to sign up. And then we do all the planning, making sure everybody's safe and secure. There will be on October 20th. Again, we'll have another event. We'll be at Walter Reed for the annual Multicultural Day event. And it's just such a beautiful way to celebrate the Native cultures, because we have such diversity in our programs. So people will have different attire from their culture, be able to perform, maybe sing a little showing of the dancing that's done in their culture, different food. So just a time for socializing and having a good time. And then finally,
Got a couple of
yeah.
questions. On a previous slide, you said commented the pictures were pre-COVID.
Yes.
So someone wanted to know, what are the COVID protocols currently in effect at the senior centers?
Yes, so I will skip over. I think it's on my next slide. Hopefully I can get back to it. If not, Gary, maybe you can help me. These are some of the protocols we're following now, which again, this would be that new component to it. So we reinstated the program back slowly, and still kind of doing everything in a slow transition still. March of 2021. We followed very strict COVID safety guidelines at that time. We followed a plan, created a plan, and implemented a plan called the Welcome Back Safety Plan. And then followed anything with the CDC guidelines, and seeing infection rates and updating those guidelines. So they're constantly readjusting about that. But transportation, CDC says that we still have to wear masks when riding in public transportation, taxis, our trips. Even our 55 plus travel, you'll see we do require masks as well. We limit how many people can ride in the taxi, including the driver, right? We have a driver and how many others. So right now, I think it's usually around 2 that are in, nobody in the front seat with the driver, maybe a third person in the back, but I think it's usually limited to 2 to the best of our ability. Meals, before you saw in the previous picture, like we would get like sheets, everything was secured and according to health department codes, but then we would serve. So it was like more of a self-serving, right? We would serve it on the plate. Now it's all prepackaged hot meals. We're serving the beverages to participants. In a way, that's good too, because everybody can sit and enjoy, and then we can kind of help out. Programs, when we're thinking of programs, we're always thinking of the setup, the social distancing of it, taking precautions, what materials should we have, any follow-up post-activity procedures we have to follow. And then of course, masks are no longer required, but they're highly encouraged. And the feedback that I got for this slide from staff is that most participants and staff continue to wear masks within the Social 60 Plus Cafe. So those are, again, staff preparing, planning, observing, but constantly changing as things change. CDC changes or our status changes. So again, when talking about trips, that's another highlight. Like we used to take trips every month. Now, because after COVID, we're taking them quarterly. So we try to make them really special. They might be similar, and people are wearing masks, and we're figuring out where everybody's sitting and how many people can go on the trip. I think people might be familiar, like with Fast Tran, they would just go in and take you shopping, but we do a little bit more. It's kind of more of an all-day trip. You may go shopping, but then you're going to a restaurant to eat. And most of the restaurants, of course, is on their own. So we're looking for places that it's not a high charge to eat at Golden Corral or something like that. Staff is looking ahead, going ahead to the locations. Are the bathrooms accessible? How close can we get the bathroom? What about those pathways? Is it dirt, concrete? Is it pebble? Will people stumble and fall? How many staff should we have depending on the number of participants that go? So in November, we had a trip to Manassas for shopping and then restaurant adding. In the spring, there's plans for a picnic and then the tour of the National Arboretum. So again, they were monthly, now quarterly. And then the final piece I want to say about Social 60 Plus Cafe that I can't stress enough is you don't want to ever walk into a center and be like, Oh, that group is Social 60 Plus Cafe, and this is this group. It's one center. Everybody has a 55 plus pass, so therefore you have access to any of the 55 plus pass programs. So if you come in on a taxi and you know you've ordered your meal, you're going to eat meal, but you're like, I want to go to that lecture about Social Security or a lecture about heart health, just anything that's on our calendar, you can, and then still come and eat your lunch, have transportation. So it's one center. There really should be no divisions drawn there.
So
Somebody
Jessica, there,
go ahead, Maureen.
I think you and I are probably on the same thing. There's a question about the Social 60 Cafe. Do all three of the locations provide the meals Monday through Friday?
Yes, so it is a very, very simple question, but complex answer because I, like I said, I'm finding out new things myself. So we used to have a yes, Monday through Friday, you could come to the site, you can eat the meals. And just, that's just how it was. We try to ask you to stay to one site, right? Because of the transportation, but if you can get on foot to the other one or public transportation. Now, due to some limitations we have to have because of all the regulations, because the transportation is limited with drivers, the staff member would work with you. So if there's not an availability of a spot, let's say at Walter Reed, that Monday, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, that you want to go every day, then they try to see, well, maybe we can work with Arlington Mill. So maybe on Tuesday or whatever day it is for Arlington Mill, you would go there. So there is a lot of coordination being done between the participant and the individuals. But yes, technically Monday through Friday at all three sites, lunch being served at noon and transportation offered at all of them, unless for some reason the site is closed due to unforeseeable situations, like maybe a COVID situation, the AC goes out, flooding in the street. Nowadays we get a lot of, but the answer is yes. And then I just quickly wanted to show you again some more pictures of, this was that picnic at Bluemont that I mentioned. 75 participants came. I have not played volleyball in so many years, so I loved seeing this photo. And we of course had a shelter place for those who don't want to be in the sun. And then one last thing is that not only when I was mentioning, like, you walk into a center and you're not supposed to know this is Social 60 Plus Cafe and this is that. It's because we're working close with the Alliance a lot on being able to offer all these programs that Social 60 Plus Cafe can benefit from as well. Was there another question? I don't, okay.
All from who?
Oh, okay.
Hello.
So the Affordable Connectivity Fair was on September 14th. It was at Walter Reed Community Center. And during this time, they had trained volunteers who were on site to help individuals register for the Affordable Connectivity Program, the ACP, which is a federal program run by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. And it really helps low-income households pay for internet service or kind of get a discount. I believe it's like $30 off the bill. But the reason we had this was really to, yes, all this is on the website of Comcast or Verizon, but it's providing that, like, volunteers, like, let me talk to you about it. You decide, okay, you're ready to do it. Let us help you do this and register. It's providing those services again. And Social 60 Plus participants some were already there, which is why we picked certain locations. And so they were able to register, whoever chose to do that. And then they actually gave away 4 computers. So lucky winners on that, they were free. So now they're planning to do more for the future. And then the final note I want to mention of something new with Congregate Meal is, many of you may or may not know, when the centers closed, in March of 2020, our staff right away did not rest. Like, right away, they went out to delivering meals, providing groceries, activities like either puzzles or games, or like kind of something that can then work virtually with the group. We followed protocols, make sure no exposure. And then, of course, that ended when we were able to open up the centers. But one thing that did stay is now that, made us think like, okay, we are able to do this in an emergency situation. How do we work? Just like Meals on Wheels kind of figures out how they're working. We are now able to provide shelf stable meals at Social 60 Plus Cafe locations, and they're used more for emergency situations such as inclement weather, illness, or just if they need it. And then they get up to 1 meal box containing 5 stable meals per month from November to March. I don't know enough about shelf stable meals, to be honest with you, because I was like, what do they look like? How does that work? But it is a service now we are able to provide. And again, we kind of went over through the protocol unless somebody had questions, or if somebody has specific questions about Social 60 Plus Cafe before moving on to the travel program, which is very popular as well.
There was a question, Jessica, about COVID vaccines and whether the centers are offering those vaccines, continuing to do that.
So they are continuing to do that. So the vaccines are not administered through us, or let's say a partnership with us and the health department per se, but Parks and Recreation works with the health department in providing sites and location. And so we do still have a site for the vaccines or boosters. I think it's by appointment, because that also changes all the time, at Walter Reed. Arlington Mill too. Actually, we lost a few of our rooms during this time, and very recently we started getting some of our bigger rooms back, like the gym. So you'll be starting to see some changes in the guide too, as we start getting some of our Parks and Recreation spaces back. We'll be able to now go back to some of our bigger spaces. But yes, the commitment is still there with the county. And I don't think it's just at community centers. They're always creative of where they're offered. If anybody needs information on that, let me know, and I could definitely connect them to a good website or provide information that we know. And then I do see a question about the 55 plus weight room hours. I don't know it off the top of my head because I'm afraid to switch my screen. But as soon as I can look at the guide, it's in the guide. It's in the fitness section, and it's in its own little box because it is something that we were able to bring back recently. We actually also added in. There's going to be a time now. So we had a personal, what we call kind of like personal trainers. Let's say I don't think we use that terminology. It was like more of a coach. But we're also working to get back individuals. So the reason that we don't have that right now is because with the workforce changing, right? Some individuals continue to commit and stay with what their role was before closing of the centers, and some have moved on or don't want to continue. So we're still kind of building up our workforce again in certain components of our programs.
Jessica,
yes.
About 10 minutes to 11.
Perfect. Okay. So 55 plus travel. I'm assuming hopefully people take advantage of the 55 plus travel program because it is wonderful. And they started coming back earlier this year, but now they're really revving back up. So there's a lot of coordination also with the charter buses because we contract with a vendor. So they are coach buses. We don't have our own personal buses anymore, but they're coach, beautiful buses with restrooms on board, safe drivers, but not enough buses and not enough drivers again. So we're constantly working with that. Some of the places that we would go they have their own restrictions or no longer taking group reservations. So there's a lot of coordination that's being done by the 55 plus travel program, but that's what makes this program fabulous is like, we do all the planning. We take on like making sure everybody's safe and secure, everything. All you have to do is actually register, be interested, register, sign up, show up, and enjoy. So these are some of the type of programs we've done. We do a lot of sporting events, probably getting back into that. We do a lot of restaurant outings, shopping, tours, nature center, museums, tourist sites. So there's just a large variation in what we offer. And then the actual travel program, I just found out it's, I think like what, did I count it right? Over 50 years plus. It was established in 1972 and has been going strong. We at one time did have even more trips, but now, we're good with the 8 to 10 as slowly, we will slowly build up. You have to have a 55 plus pass. We do welcome first time visitors, but you have to be 55 and older. We get a lot of questions. Please, I'm 54, I'm 53, I'm 51. And this is the perk of being 55 and older. People are really hoping to be 55 so they can join programs or do travel. Um, and then currently, I mentioned the 8 to 10 buses. If we have a popular bus and we're able to get a second bus, that's great. Although we're very dependent now on the availability of the vendor with the buses and driver. And then the other interesting part people may not know is that all the trips, besides staff kind of being the planners, they're kind of done by the 55 plus travel advisory committee, or the travel leaders. And these are all individuals 55 and older. So peers advising and planning for peers. Currently, we have a total of 12 leaders. And then this is just a quick highlight of, I asked my colleague, like any top ones that might be interested that are not full at this time. That's the other thing. They do fill up quickly. So we're constantly planning ahead and working ahead. We have special tours sometimes that are designed for our 55 plus group. Like if you look at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, when we went into virtual tours of these, our staff were able to kind of get it all custom to our liking. Oh, they're seniors. Oh, I see what you want. Okay, so we're working constantly with the organization. The Apple Festival happening in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So it's just beautiful scenery, but then also a good time to have, apples you can get or pick, craft vendors, arts. And then there's traveling tours at the museums, like the Beyond King Tut. Sometimes we have like shows that are in high demand, and staff is able to grab a few tickets or coordinate to grab behind the scenes, like maybe at our 911 dispatch center. If you ever have an idea of a trip and you haven't seen it, you're wondering if it'll happen, please always talk to our team and let us know. If you have an idea, we explore it and see what the options are. Again, that 55PLUS, so 55 plus at arlingtonva.us. Feel free to always contact us there. And then some testimonials from travelers, we have a lot of partners that maybe one of the partners passed away and then they don't maybe wanted to travel themselves. Then I was told about the travel program from a staff member and it saved my life. Like seeing that it saved my life, that socialization again, I just can't stress how connection is so important. My husband and I can't get around like we used to. We love the travel program because we can hop on the bus and not worry about driving. The 55 plus travel team makes it so easy to travel, and I have the feeling of joy again in seeing new places and meeting new friends, because a lot of us are nervous to travel. So again, we're constantly doing that prep items. What's in the horizon for the 55 plus travel? They are working right now on being more interactive trips. And I could see this expanding even more to be maybe like active trips, like maybe even a hiking trip or with lectures. In this case, like the birding and Black history at Blackwater, something they're exploring. Like, so they'll be able to do a visit the Harry Tubman Underground Railroad National Historic Park, but then also then be able to sight like bird seeing? Did I use the right terminology? I can't remember. But be able to then walk with a ranger and kind of look at different animals, the birds, the wildlife. We're also looking to do sketching at the National Gallery of Art. So this is actually one of our internal partners, which is Community Arts Programmer. But then we're actually going to the National Art Gallery, Gallery of Art, and being able to do some drawing and some sketching. So it's a 4-part series. A supply list will be provided. Everything's made to be simple, easy, socializing, interacting, learning. So we have many more coming this way. And one other thing that the 55 plus travel team has kind of ventured off is working with other jurisdictions, maybe not on trips, but they're working on what's called the Virtual Center for Active Adults. Right now, if you look at the bottom there, you see all the different counties and jurisdictions who are partnered together to be able to provide either a program. In this case, it's virtual, so it's not trips, but let's say Arlington County will have Thursdays as their virtual day. And so the jurisdictions are all committed to keeping strong with the virtual and then being able to say, okay, this is our day and we're going to make sure and promise that we have programs for everybody. And so I'm sure this will expand to eventually having trips and programs. I think we're one of the few jurisdictions who actually do like coach buses and have always done buses versus like the fast tran van or a different form of transportation, but I may be wrong. Things may have changed since then. So this is kind of a gist of, and these are just a few of the upcoming virtual programs that you might find on that calendar. The website or link, which I'll share this presentation for anybody who needs it, you can scan your phone here and kind of it'll pull up the website and you'll be able to get more information or even the calendar. So I think just to look at time, the presentation has more information, but those were the main two items of changes with the 55 plus travel, a lot of information on Social 60 plus cafe. Let me see if I could go back. We offer still virtual programs in general, separate from what I just described with the jurisdictions. We have a YouTube channel. We always welcome you guys to watch old recordings, recordings of exercise programs, art classes. We're starting to upload a lot of our lectures. So we still want to have a benefit for having a 55 plus pass, but then maybe being able to still watch nature center hike talk. You know, so it kind of gets you interested, so you get to know a little bit more about the program. We have an array of different type of virtual programs as well. And we offer daytime, weeknights, weekend programs. We're actually probably going to go and start making sure we have 3 sites, Walter Reed, Langston Brown, and Arlington Mill, that all have a different night of the week that where they should be offering evening programs. So just let us know if you have questions about that, but we want to be inclusive to all.
Jessica,
Yes.
a question about the travel. How does a 55 plus member register a first time visitor who's over 55 but not a 55 plus member?
Great question. It's a follow-up I'll have to find out, but so I can get an answer for you. But I will assume because the system online or us as staff cannot personally bypass the system, right? Because it's our internal system is looking to see if you have a 55 plus pass and that you're 55 and older. I think that it's as simple as contacting staff. I think the key with that I have to find out is because of our programs are such, like our trips can fill up rather quickly. Let me find out the correct answer so you don't like miss a spot because you were like, oh, I have time to sign up. I think you have to contact the 55 plus email or the travel email and let them know you're interested, because most first time visitors usually come through a friend who is a 55 plus pass holder, and then let staff know, oh, I have a friend who wants to come, but they're still thinking about joining. They want to come on this trip. Registration for trips happens that's another change. Before we would have sign up days at our sites, not anymore. They're just like every other program. That's actually new across the board. We used to have all of our free programs. You just come and call the center and they sign you in a book. Not any longer. You have to do it through our online system or by phone calling 703-228-4747. You can go in person and sign up. Registration for this cycle started August 17th, right? So the next cycle will be coming out. We're trying to figure out all the registration dates, but it all starts for county residents on a specific day. at 10 a.m. and we let you know the day. And then it's for non-Arlington County residents the following day at 10 a.m. So that's kind of how we do that. But let me do that as a follow-up. And then I think that might be it, the main stuff. Again, just some pictures of some of our special celebrations we've had. New Year's Eve, I believe, will still be virtual this year. Our advisory committees and senior adult council are kind of deciding that. We have a meeting this afternoon. But we did well with our virtual. It wasn't like people were joining. As you could tell, like you said, in your meetings, you made it virtual, more people can come. We still continue with outdoor programs. Again, just some pictures. This is our drumming circle. And then they were still able to keep true, and they still are actually outdoors. I don't know if they necessarily wear the mask. Again, it's not required, but recommended, but there's still social distancing that's being done. This was one of our yarn crafter groups that has come inside, but again, they can be outside. Our different recreation programs. This was outside of Walter Reed. I believe this is either dance or Tai Chi, but this is on county property. And then this is one of our groups performing. So people can come with their own chair and sit outside. And then of course, fitness and wellness continue to be popular. We still offer outdoors. We do offer sports. We do a lot of walking groups, a lot of biking. YouTube channel has some exercise classes. We do a lot of virtual as well. And then just finally, just again, pictures. I just want you guys to see how the 55 plus community just came to it. Like these individuals were like, yes, I still want to exercise. You're doing it outside. Okay, I'm coming. This is our biking group taking a rest for a moment. And then please do not forget about that pickleball or tennis or our trails. We just have I think Arlington itself has won a lot of awards for their outdoor options. This is the one last thing I wanted to mention. For those who are interested in 55 plus aquatics classes, as you may know, the Longbridge Aquatics and Fitness Center opened up last year in the summer, and therefore all of our classes that we used to have like at W&L, Yorktown, Wakefield have now all moved to Longbridge Park. I'm not saying that there aren't classes offered at the school pools, but they're no longer through us. They're just maybe a coordination that's done through schools. But all of our programs and classes have now moved all to Longbridge Aquatic Center. So if you sign up for an aqua class, for example, you just need the 55 plus pass to sign up. But if you choose to belong to Longbridge, like our membership doesn't extend to Longbridge or the fitness center, but you don't have to have the gold pass to do this. And those are two different offerings of our thing. Lubber Run is just our 55 plus pass. You don't need the pass if you want to walk the track or just be at Lubber Run or enjoy the outside. But if you are taking one of our classes or want to do the weight room, you can benefit it from our 55 plus gold pass. But lectures is still the 55 plus pass. It has an indoor track, fitness room, basketball, pickleball courts, and of course, a lot of lectures and learning opportunities. And then finally, I want to say we're always working on programs. We love to hear your ideas, especially if you have contacts or resources, even better. But if you just have an idea, please share it with any staff. This is the email that I kind of been mentioning, 55plus@arlingtonba.us. And then again, these are just some reports. Now, this is from information before pandemic, so it'll be interesting to see what we hear now. But you can see the high rates of, because of our programs, especially our fitness programs, people have felt like it lifted their spirits. They were able to get a healthier lifestyle or routine. Kind of like what you were saying, Maureen, like, I'm not a morning person, but now here I can go to this yoga class in the morning, and then ways you can find out about updates. I would highly encourage you to sign up for the 55 plus e-news. I do that one, and I send it out monthly or whenever we have special announcements. And we have that on our front page of our webpage. But what I'll do is I'll send an actual link and you just put your email and then you get them as we create them. The guide is we're always updating the guide, and that is online, or online is the best version because as we change stuff, we update it online as well. Our county website, of course, we do local marketing in the newspapers. We have a 55 plus live talk show, which you can find recordings on YouTube. And then just please explore our YouTube station. And then the final two are just the two different passes. It's the 55 plus pass, gives you access to our programs, classes, and trips. And then the gold pass is identical, except for you can now go to the county facilities, except for Longbridge, anytime it's open. So I think that's the key. This slide is just more FYI, because again, your membership with Arlington Neighborhood Village kind of covers that piece of it. And then we have, if you have any questions, please let us know. This is our email again. And I think that might be it for the presentation. So sorry if I went over a little bit.
That's okay. And there was a lot of information here.
Yeah.
As I put in the chat, excuse me, we are going to be sending a copy of your slides to the AMV office. So anybody that wants to get a copy can contact the office.
Yes. And I'm putting down my follow-ups for the first time visitors and a few other and household.
And
Okay.
also remember that we now record these and we post them on we have a YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch it again or tell your friends that you saw this great presentation and they can see it too. So thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. And even if I don't come and present, if you need information from me, like a PDF of something or a follow-up question of any sort, I'm always happy to help. I'm the outreach specialist, so that's what I'm here for.